The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by this podcast, as well as its hosts, are for entertainment purposes only. I repeat, it is not serious. It is not real. No one is exposing, revealing, indicting, or telling you anything about themselves. Also, we do not encourage you to try this at home. We are trained professionals who do not have your best interests at heart, or our own. Enjoy the show. The thoughts, views, and opinions.
Okay. Trey 600, 3600.
Trey 600 with a niggas who run it. Yeah. Trey 600, 3600. Trey 600, 3600.
Okay. Trey 600.
Hey man, it's your boy Trey 600 Quitting TV. We back again with another one. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Shout out to the notification family. Salute to all my new subscribers and my day ones. I do this for y'all. Let's get it. Hey man, we got something dope for y'all today. It's Friday, man. I hope y'all got something you're sipping on. I hope you're drinking on something, rolling up what you're rolling up. You know what I'm saying? This is gonna be a fire one today. We reacting to the gangs in Houston, Trap Lord Ross. Man, this was crazy, man. He broke a whole lot of stuff down, and I want to see what he's talking about, man. Appreciate the chat. Salute to the chat, man. What up, T-Will? What's good, boy? What up? What's good? I already got the link in the chat. It might pop up. You already know. It's going down, man. It's going down. Let me go ahead and get this. We're going to play this, and then we're going to get right to it. Let's get it.
Hey, we back in the booth, that bullshit. Hey, nigga. Hey, when I get the ball in my hand, nigga, no, I ain't playing. I'ma show you that I've been the man. Lil' brother just popped him a Zen, just look at his stance. He clutching that switch in his pants. We bumping down on niggas, they ran. They know I ain't playing. This Michael Draco in my hand. This chopper fully. I make a bitch out of bullet when I bouncing out of sedan. I'm sticking the hoodie. The first nigga play, I'ma pull it. I bet you I touch me some skin. These big nigga pussy, they really some rookies, and they ain't gon' never do shit that they saying. Put a op in the blunt. That nigga smell like a skunk. We turned your little bro to a string. Still got on our punt. These niggas know I'm the run. Turned up, and now I'm the man. Hey, they know I'm dead nigga rolling. Nigga kept this and I ain't getting rolled on. Your bro on the end, he smoking. She got me choking.
Like button on the way up in here.
He wrong, he right. We put up a fight. No way he could go wrong. Yo, on dick like a bike. She ain't it on sight. She not trying to hold on. I just put a deuce in a fan. I feel like an animal. Bitch, let me fuck on camera. I took a trip out to Canada. Fresh like a janitor. I put a op in a canister. You better go get your manager. Nah, I ain't playing with your 762 with a damager. I put a switch on the glee. If you looking for me, I'm probably somewhere up in When I get the ball in my hand, nigga, no, I ain't playing. I'ma show you that I've been the man. Lil' brother just popped him a Zen, just look at his stance. He clutching that switch in his pants. We bump down on niggas, they ran. They know I ain't playing. This Michael Draco in my hand. This chopper fully. I make a bitch out of bullet when I'm bouncing out of sedan. Hey, they know I'm dead nigga rolling. Nigga kept this and I ain't getting rolled on. Yo, bro on the end, he smoking. She got me choking. Told him to go long. With bro, he wrong and he right. We put up a fight. No way he could go wrong. Yo, ho, on dick like a bike. She ate it on sight. She not trying to pull. When I get the ball in my hand, nigga, no, I ain't playing. I'ma show you that I've been the man. Lil' brother just popped him a Zen, just look at his stance. He clutching that switch in his pants. We bump down on niggas, they ran. They know I ain't playing. This Michael Draco in my hand. This chopper fully. I make a bitch out of bullet when I'm bouncing out of sedan. Come on. Bitch out of bouncing.
That's Track Boy 2-3.
When I'm bouncing out of sedan.
Niggas
know I'm the man. No, I ain't playing.
Appreciate everybody rocking with us, man. It's gonna be a good one. Like I said, this is Texas-based content right here, man. Trap Lord Ross, he even did a little deep dive. We're gonna see how he felt and, you know what I'm saying, what he got into. But what up, my boy? We got Ink Effects up in here. What's good, gang? What's good?
Yo, it's good. We're going to die.
Hey, what up, Cammy? What's good? Oh, you already know.
Shout out, Cammy. Shout out, T-Will.
Yes,
shout out to the chat. Thanks for tuning in, showing support.
Yeah, we're going to get to it, man. We're going to get to it. Let's see. Let's break it down. We'll stop it whenever we need to stop it. You already know how to go. Let's get it.
Run it.
I'll take the commercial.
Trey, where the volume at?
You can't hear nothing?
Hell no.
Man, hold on. Damn. You can hear me? Y'all hear me? Y'all can hear me? Y'all can't hear the video? Okay, cool. Let me do it again. Let me see.
Almost come to an end when he was shot in the leg during a recent targeted attack in Memphis.
Rapper Sauce Walka was shot in the leg in Memphis just this past Saturday. Another man was shot and did not survive. Tonight, Memphis police say they've identified 21-year-old Jaden Dandridge as the shooting suspect. A warrant has been issued.
Can y'all hear it, chat? Did y'all hear it?
I could hear it on my end.
Well, another rapper, Say So P, who was part of Sauce Walker's TSF record label, was also killed at the scene. This being yet another dark reminder of how increasingly blurred the lines have.
Yeah, go stupid. I dropped the link. Just hit the link.
Come between music and the streets in modern day rap. So in this video, we're going deep into the H-Town underground, from the city's gangs and music scenes to the major players in the streets, studios, and boardrooms who shaped them.
Oh, man, we got my boy Go Stupid Media up in here. What's good, gang?
Yo, what's that word, man? Go
Stupid
Media in this motherfucker, man. Youngest blogger, man. Forward chasing, man. We in this motherfucker, man. Trey, what's up, man?
Trap Lord dropped the deadliest, gangs in Houston. So, nigga had to definitely gonna react to it. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna clip it up.
This was definitely on my list to react to. But since I seen my boy live, we gonna have to do it together, man. Fuck it.
Yes, sir.
I ain't gonna lie.
Stop it. You already know.
I ain't gonna lie. I saw a little bit of it and I thought it was some bullshit. But since y'all don't live in Houston, I think this should be interesting.
Yeah.
If you want to watch my videos uncut and extended, go to patreon.com/traplawross, where you can get those for just $2. Also, you can now watch my new drops on Spotify, so go search me there. Here's the video. It's October the 16th, 2017, a sunny Tuesday afternoon in Southeast Houston, and Sam Johnson, a 53-year-old handyman, is just trying to make an honest living by fixing up a house on London Street, having no idea that in less than 10 minutes, he'll be caught in the crossfire of a war that's been raging on for years. A stolen blue Mazda speeds down the block, and before it even comes to a stop, 4 gunmen inside begin firing. The car crashes into a ditch, but the shooters don't miss a beat. They jump out, still shooting, before carjacking a woman, holding her baby, and making a getaway. When the smoke clears, Sam Johnson is dead, an innocent man killed in the gang war he had nothing to do with. A conflict between 2 Houston gangs that had already claimed over 50 lives since 2011. Sam Johnson's murder was about to expose something that would shock even federal investigators.
Okay, he said 50 lives. So, hey,
Yo,
50 people done died the gang shit down there?
Well, just that particular gang war between Scott Block and 103. Yeah, bro. They had to do a lot to try to calm that shit down.
Damn. That's crazy. Okay. All right.
Investigators.
Yeah, I'm not tapped into the Houston shit as much.
Yeah, no, I got y'all on the H-Town shit.
Okay, I'm gonna say that I'm more tapped in on the YN side, the young nigga side. That's what I'm tapped into.
Yeah. It's gonna be going down out there, man.
Become home to over 20,000 gang members and 400 different gangs. But to understand how Houston became a battleground where innocent handymen get caught in the crossfire, we need to go back to the beginning. Now, most people think Houston's gang problem started in the 90s with the explosion of crack cocaine, and in some ways that is true, because while some other major cities had been dealing with large street gangs since the 60s, 70s, or even earlier, in Houston, such gangs were still largely non-existent. However, the seeds of Houston's gang empire were already planted in the 70s and early 80s. At the time, Houston's black communities were dealing with the same problems plaguing urban America everywhere: poverty, segregation, and a lack of opportunities that pushed young men towards the streets. As a result, small neighborhood-based crews would begin forming in neighborhoods like the 3rd Ward and 5th Ward. They were nothing like the organized gangs we know today, but the foundation was being laid. But while cities like Los Angeles and Chicago had already developed their own gang cultures, Houston was about to become something different, a melting pot where gangs from across America would come in to set up shop. It started with migration throughout the 70s and 80s as people were moving to Houston from cities.
Wix, one platform, any
Mine's gotta get that premium.
unlimited creation.
Like Chicago and LA, drawn in by job opportunities and the oil industry. Some of these migrants would also bring with them the colors, codes, and criminal knowledge of some of America's most dangerous gangs. But the streets weren't the only place where Houston's gang future was being written. Inside the Texas prison system, something even more significant was happening. In 1984, the Texas Mexican Mafia would be born behind bars.
The Texas Mexican Mafia is considered a Tier 1 gang threat to our state. They got the highest rating threat to us as any gang member.
The East Los Angeles-based gang with connections to Mexican drug cartels is run like the military, according to the FBI. They have a leader who is in federal prison in Colorado. They have a constitution, and you must kill someone to get in, and you don't get out until you're dead.
And a year later, the Aryan Brotherhood.
That rules right there, boy. You got to kill somebody to get in, and you can't get out unless you die. What kind of gang is this? What the hell?
A gang.
Crazy work. Super organized too. Like super organized, I'm sure.
Would make their Texas presence known too. While throughout the 80s, a prison gang called Tango Blast was forming as a protection group against the more established gangs like the Texas Syndicate.
It was a gang to help people go home because the other gang members were recruiting people and letting them go stab somebody.
Yeah.
Catching more life sentence, catching 30, 40 years more, just, tell them you gotta go stab this dude. You don't even know this dude. They just tell them you go stab him.
Yeah. Texas prison gangs may seem somewhat disconnected from Houston streets, but here's the thing about Texas. It's got one of the largest prison systems in America. And Houston, being the biggest city in the state, is where a lot of these gang members end up when they get out. By the mid-1980s, there was a perfect storm brewing in Houston, where the small neighborhood crews provided the foundation and the prison gangs provided organizational blueprints, while migrants bought the cultures and criminal enterprises of America's biggest gang capitals. Added Houston's strategic location, perfect for drug trafficking, sitting right between Mexico and the rest of America, and all the ingredients for an explosion were set to take place. But just like in other cities in America, where the gang problem hadn't yet gotten out of control, nobody in Houston seemed to understand just how big that explosion would be. By 1988, Houston had 23 gangs with 333 members, but just a year later, in 1991, that number had exploded to 103 gangs with 1,098 members, a 230% increase in just 3 years.
On Monday night, City Under Siege reporter Sherry Martinez will begin a special report on Houston juveniles who were busted for allegedly selling crack cocaine.
On a Wednesday night, a school night, yet this 15-year-old is being arrested for allegedly selling crack cocaine.
Did he sell to the undercover officer?
Yeah. He's going to be our primary delivery, I believe.
You feel this is wrong to do?
Not really.
You don't think it's wrong? Why?
Because making money.
3 other juveniles have been arrested for allegedly.
Well, this the 80s, right?
Early 90s.
Man, that's somebody OG right now.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great. He said, we just making money. You know what I'm saying? That's the trenches, man. Trenches, bro. Old school trenches.
Dealing drugs. 2 of them are brothers.
You said you've seen kids come in with large amounts of cash. What have you seen?
$700, $800, $900, food stamps, the Gucci pants.
This 13-year-old says he's sold crack for about a year, making $150 a week.
What do you buy with that money? Clothes and, give money to my mother and stuff.
The Department of Justice took notice, sending investigators to figure out what the hell was happening in Houston. Their assessment was damning. These were young, immature, violent, and loosely organized groups, motivated mainly by the profits of drug trafficking. They would classify Houston's gangs into 4 categories: criminal street gangs, identity gangs, racist gangs, and bizarrely, satanic gangs, though the last one was probably more about the satanic panic hysteria of the 80s rather than actual devil worshipping happening on the block. But what made Houston more different from other gang cities wasn't just the numbers, it was the diversity. Houston was becoming what people would start calling the Third Coast, a gang battleground positioned perfectly between the established gang territories of Los Angeles and Chicago. Like I mentioned earlier, the gangs that set up shop in Houston brought their full organizational structures with them, and what happened next turned the city into a battlefield unlike anywhere else in America. The first wave came from Los Angeles. Blood sets like the 5'9" Bounty Hunters and 5'9" Pyrus established their territories, the Bounty Hunters repping their red and black colors and 5-point stars, while the 5'9" Pyrus rep the color red and 5-point crowns. Their main enemies, the Crips, would also make a lasting impact on Houston, starting with sets like the 5'2" Hoover Gangster Crips, who would establish their presence and bring with them the colors blue and orange. The orange was traditional for all Hoover sets, and this was the same organization that would later put a 13-year-old kid named Maxo Cream on in there.
Maxo, big old head. Yeah, big old head. The same head he got now.
That nigga looked the
fucking
same.
Yep. Back in the day, though, niggas had the jerseys, though. Everybody got a picture, bro. If you from the era, you got a picture of you in the fucking jersey with the NBA jersey, bro.
I had that Allen Iverson. I got that picture. What you had?
Mm-hmm. I had just a Nike one. It was a straight Nike logo, Nike. That's crazy. You're gonna definitely have one.
That would eventually change how Houston gangs operated forever. Meanwhile, Chicago's influence arrived with the Gangster Disciples and Black Disciples, these folk nation organizations bringing their own criminal organizations to Houston's streets. But Houston wasn't content to just host out-of-town gangs, and the city would also birth some significant homegrown gangs, like the Southwest Cholos, who emerged as a powerful Latino gang, while the Fifth Ward Circle represented the neighborhood loyalty that had existed long before any colors or codes arrived. By the 2000s, authorities were tracking gangs across Houston's sprawling geography. The South Side became...
God damn, bro.
Carparts.com always delivers. And
what part of Houston that is?
Southside became home to the Third Ward crews with 103 gang, various Crip, and Blood sets controlling everything from Sunnyside to South Park. The suburb of Alief became a stronghold for Latino gangs like the MS-13 and the Southwest Cholos, while the North Side saw Acre Homes, Independent Heights, and Homestead developing their own.
You know any Southwest Cholos?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Real? Okay.
Yeah, Cholos really off of like Fudger and Biscuit Fudger, all that shit like that. You know what I'm saying? That's mainly where they at.
Shout out. Yeah. Shout out, what's the name? CEO Gucci. Acre Homes, man.
Yeah, Acre Homes is a big neighborhood, though.
Four.
Yeah, four. They got the back streets, all of that, the bricks. It's a lot. Acre Homes is big.
Damn, so that's where he from? Go Stupid.
Yeah, Acre Home.
Okay.
The face of Houston drill.
Yeah.
Own gang territories, and the east side became prime real estate for gangs like the 5'2" Hoover Crips around Clinton Park and Federal Road. The 2000s also saw a shift that would change everything about how these organizations operated. Like in many other cities, the predominantly black gangs in Houston began moving away from traditional gang structures, forming what can be better described as neighborhood cliques.
Right now, Houston, you have neighborhoods, you have cliques. You could have a blood and a Crip right next to each other putting in work because it's all about the clique and the hood that you are from.
These cliques brought together members from different gangs, even traditional rivals, who were now united by geography rather than colors.
The Bloods, you had a lot of Crips, some Vice Large, GDs, MS-13s.
One person who embodied this new approach was Maxo Cream. After getting put on by the 5'2" Hoover Gangster Crips at just age 13, Maxo would learn the traditional gang system firsthand. But by 2007, when he formed the Cream Click Gang, he took a completely different approach. The Cream Click Gang brought together members from everywhere: Bloods, Crips, Vice Lords, Folk Nation sets, and even homies from the suburbs, showcasing the new Houston model in action. For years, the Cream Click would operate successfully, mixing criminal enterprise with Maxo's rising rising music career, but in 2016, federal agents would raid their operation, busting them for shipping marijuana from California to Texas through the mail. Authorities seized thousands of pounds of drugs, thousands of pills, and numerous guns.
Tonight, pounds of pot, piles of pills, guns, body armor, and stacks of cash as well. Now, all of this was seized in a drug sting against a group that calls themselves the Cream Click Gang. And among the 8 people arrested, a Houston rapper.
Investigators say these men were using boxes just like this to ship drugs all the way across the country. What they didn't know is that they were being watched the whole time.
Maxo beat the case, but it showed how even the small neighborhood cliques weren't safe from the law.
He beat the case, though. That's
I think he months on some misdemeanor shit. Yeah, he did like they jammed him up, but I think he only did like a couple little months on that type of shit. It was like some misdemeanor shit that they actually locked him up for.
Somebody took that charge.
Somebody definitely took a charge.
Yeah, because a couple months for, come on now.
Yeah.
And he had a good lawyer. Because I remember when he was going in and out of court and shit, I could tell he had top notch, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was in Harris County when he came through there in 2016 for that shit. Like, he is staying there. Like, he was out of there.
What's up, everybody?
Yo.
GT
Will. Man, what's the deal, man? We got Cool Breeze, we got Ink, we got Go Stupid, man. What's Stack 2
Yeah.
Stack 2 Trill that came up?
No, he ain't came up yet.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm really enjoying this, man. Shit, I'm glad that our buddy beat the case. You know, he moving smart. For him to beat that, he moving smart. They ain't really had nothing on him, and like y'all said, somebody took it, and that's how it's supposed to be when it's a click. If everybody go to jail, how the fuck somebody go keep money on y'all books or get y'all lawyers or whatever y'all need?
Right. I think. My bad, bro. But I think a lot of that shit had to do with that video.
Hold on, that's probably me.
What'd you say?
I think a lot of the shit had to do with the video. You know what I'm saying? But they say like since Maxo wasn't never really holding no guns and shit in the video, like it wasn't really like they had too much actually connecting him to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At the school.
No, that's a fact. Yeah, real talk. Yeah, he got it out. Let's get back to it.
While Maxo was dealing with federal heat, the click model would spread all across Houston in ways that were much more violent, as the neighborhood-focused approach that worked for mixed crews like Cream Click was also fueling deadly territorial wars between rival blocks. The 100% Third Ward Gang and their rivals, the Young Scott Block, had been feuding since 2011. Both were what authorities called exclusively local and hometown groups, fighting over specific blocks in the Third Ward and Sunnyside areas. What made this conflict particularly vicious was its personal nature. This wasn't about colors or national gang affiliations, it was beef between neighbors, where geographic proximity bred intense hatred, and that hatred was turning Houston into a war zone. By 2017, this single conflict between two relatively small gangs had claimed over 50 lives. The violence had become so routine that innocent people like Sam Johnson were getting caught in the crossfire during broad daylight shootings.
Well, during a bond hearing in July for a so-called gang-related murder in Southeast Houston, HPD Police Detective Adam Bach disclosed in court there have been more than 50 deaths since 2011 related to that gang war.
This was just one feud. Federal authorities were tracking much bigger threats operating all across the entire state, threats that weren't just running operations from Houston streets, but also from behind the walls of Texas prisons. While everyone was focused on what was happening in the streets, the real power was being consolidated behind bars, where the Texas Department of Criminal Justice houses around 20% of inmates who are identified as gang members. We're talking about one of the largest prison systems in America, and inside these walls, gangs don't just survive. They thrive, recruit, and run criminal empires.
Look at that. Texas will lock your ass up. They lock you the fuck up. They don't have a problem doing that shit. All these damn prisons.
Right, Texas don't got no problem locking your ass up.
That shit crazy when you think about it. When you think about it, boy.
Texas probably got about
Why
15.
niggas be doing shit? No, nigga, they gonna lock you up and throw away the goddamn key. And you ain't giving money, bro.
Nah, for real, them hoes got about 15 to 17 years out of my life. No bullshit. Probably more than that.
That stretch far beyond the prison fences. The biggest player in this system is Tango Blast, with an estimated 17,000 to 19,000 members statewide, all while lacking a centralized command structure. Instead, they operate as loosely affiliated crews based on cities: Houston Tango, Dallas Tango, and San Antonio Tango. However, this wasn't always the plan. Tango Blast formed in the 1980s out of pure survival, as Texas prisons were dominated by established gangs like the Texas Syndicate and Mexicanemi, and new inmates needed protection. But what started as a defensive alliance against these older, more organized prison gangs slowly evolved into something much more powerful. The decentralized structure that began as a weakness became Tango Blast's greatest strength, because when law enforcement takes down a traditional gang leader, the whole organization can crumble. But with Tango Blast, there's no head to cut off. Over time, Houston would become the crown jewel in this prison empire. The city's proximity to the Mexican border made it perfect for drug smuggling operations. The massive Harris County jail system became a recruitment hub, and when Tango Blast members got out, many settled in Houston, bringing their prison connections to the streets. But Tango Blast wasn't the only prison gang in Houston using the city as their base. MS-13, originally from El Salvador, would also discover that Houston offered everything they needed. The city's large Latino population provided cover for their operations. The port and highway systems made trafficking easy, and the proximity to the border meant easy access to their Central American networks. By 2018, law enforcement classified MS-13 as a Tier 1 gang threat to the entire state of Texas. They were involved in drug smuggling, human trafficking, and trafficking. And while their numbers in Houston might have been relatively small, their reputation for brutal violence was massive. Other prison gangs like Hermanos de Pistoleros Latinos and various factions were also using the Texas system to recruit and organize. The Harris County Jail became more than just a place to hold suspects. It became a networking hub where gang members from different organizations could meet, plan, and coordinate. The prison-to-street pipeline was creating sophisticated criminal enterprises with international connections, prison-based leaderships, and street operations that could adapt faster than local law enforcement could respond. Gangs offer protection to vulnerable inmates, but that protection comes with a price, a lifelong loyalty that continues long after release. And the gangsters running these operations were about to become some of the most infamous criminals in Houston history. And top of that list is Shaquille O'Neal Richards. Not that Shaq. This is a man who authorities describe.
Shaq.
Look at that.
Shaq. He said Shaquille O'Neal Richards. Shaq out here terrorizing shit.
Gang and someone that the Department of Justice calls one of the worst of the worst. In 2023, federal prosecutors will indict him for ordering the 2017 murder of Sam Johnson, that innocent handyman from our opening story, right from his prison cell, showing the level of organization and influence that this guy pulls. However, these individual gangsters, as dangerous as they are, represent just the tip of the iceberg, because when we start looking at the body counts from some of Houston's gang wars, the numbers become almost incomprehensible. In 2021 alone, Houston's murder rate hit 473 homicides, with gangs linked to a substantial portion of these killings. But Houston's story isn't, of course, just about gangs and violence. As while the streets were being consumed by territorial wars and federal investigations, another side of the city was quietly building something that would change hip-hop forever.
He blended this shit too much.
Hip-hop cultures in America, known for things.
You say he did what?
I said he blended this shit to it. It's like it's not in chronological order, bro.
Yeah. He had Paul Wall and Screw on there.
No, it really ain't even in order, and then he left a lot of shit out too. Especially about the Tango Blast. Like some of the shit he had right, but a lot of shit, you know.
Yeah, he kind of got it back.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean? But you know, one thing he did have right by Tango Blast, they started out as being protection for the Mexican Mafia and Texas Syndicate and all that. But shit, them motherfuckers started taking over. They started making sure that the Mexican Mafia couldn't recruit no more. The Texas Syndicates, they couldn't recruit no more. They were making them niggas, they were making Texas Syndicate break their horns on they motherfucking bulls.
On their tattoos and shit, yeah.
Yeah. Making them get one of the horns upside down or cutting the tips off them hoes. Yeah, they weren't playing around in that bitch.
Yeah, Tango wasn't supposed to be a gang, but they started operating like one.
Yeah, they started operating like one, exactly. But it's crazy how It's crazy how the Mexican Mafia used to have everything locked down. They just let them just take over.
Yeah, they got way more numbers now, but that's because of H-Town Blasted.
Yeah.
Like,
Hugh Stones.
Yeah, the Houston.
C Dash said he left out the New Orleans influence in the city too.
Yep.
Yeah, but New Orleans didn't really influence the gangs though, bro.
Nah,
yeah.
New Orleans, when they came down here, man, they really was trying to burn Texas down. They were really, when that Katrina shit happened, they were down here trying to rob everybody, take shit. They, you know what I mean? It's like
a lot of the beef with New Orleans and Houston started at the schools, bro. Like with young niggas shit. You know what I'm saying?
Things like the slowed down sound of chopped and screwed music.
He invented chopped and screwed music, which was essentially slowing down existing records to a snail's pace, like a syrupy drawl.
And I ain't gotta talk behind your back what I said about you,
which was deeply influenced by the city's first for the so-called purple drank, aka lean, a codeine-based cough syrup that's mixed with soda.
Here it is.
New York, them, they drink, you know what I'm saying? West Coast known for their weed, you know what I'm saying? Houston, we known for our thing, you know what I'm saying?
This is lean oil. It's something gonna put you to sleep, man, on your ass if you drink too much.
As well as candy-painted slabs swanging down the boulevard, playing music from the massive custom speakers poking out of a popped-out trunk. However, before Houston became known for its distinctive style, which would eventually even take the city to the very top of the rap game for a period of time in the mid-2000s, it started from very humble beginnings. Just like most other southern cities that took their time to catch up with the rap scenes of cities like New York, the birthplace of hip-hop, and Los Angeles, the birthplace of gangster rap. But when Houston did finally catch on, it came out with force, in many ways pioneering the sound of the South. This is mostly because of one group, the Ghetto Boys, which was originally founded by three members, Raheem, Sire Jukebox, and Sir Rap-A-Lot, who's the brother of legendary Houston rap mogul, Jay Prince, who we'll discuss more later. However, the group would go through some significant changes during the mid-80s and would eventually be formed by four members, DJ Ready Red, Scarface, Willie D, and Bushwick Bill, who would go on to make a national breakthrough with their 1989 album, Grip It, on that other level. The album would receive significant underground buzz and caught the attention of legendary producer Rick Rubin, who would then take many of the songs from the album, together with some new and old songs, and reissue them through his Deaf American Recordings imprint under the album name The Ghetto Boys in 1990. The album brought the Houston rap scene to major attention nationwide, although the biggest reason for much of its attention was due to the fact that Geffen Records, who were the distributor for Rick Rubin's Deaf American, would back out from their distribution deal with the rap group after hearing the music on the album, deeming the lyrics way too violent and sexually explicit, which would cause headlines all over the country. These kinds of early controversies contributed to Southern rap becoming eventually known by the moniker Dirty South, due to the extreme violence and other explicit themes often present in the music. While the Ghetto Boys are often considered to be the pioneers of so-called horrorcore rap, a subgenre probably best known for the rap group The Insane Clown Posse, aka ICP, whose man Violent J would later tell the Ghetto Boys rapper Willie D the Ghetto Boys had influenced their sound.
Hey man, we got
you got something playing on the background TV on TV.
You say what?
You got something playing on the TV?
Man, I got that's my speaker. My bad, man.
Yeah, you gotta cut that off because it's echoing.
How it sound now? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we good.
Yeah, man. Man, we got 17 people in here now, man. Y'all hit that motherfucking like button, man. There's only 6 likes in here. I know everybody in here ain't no motherfucking hater, man. I know y'all fuck with Trey 600, Ink, Go Stupid, me, oh shit, with each other in the goddamn chat, man. Y'all hit this goddamn like button, man. Stop playing with my partner, man.
That's facts.
Alright, my bad, bro. We can go ahead. I just had to say that.
Oh no, it's all good. You already know. Run them up.
For anybody don't know, wicked horrorcore is rappers rapping about fantasy horror. You know what I mean? Things, anything supernatural or something of fantasy, like a horror movie or something. You know what I mean? Anything along those lines.
Violence.
The first horrorcore song I ever heard was Assassins. Yeah. By the original Ghetto Boys.
Ghetto Boys would then go on to release their official breakthrough album, the 1991 hip-hop classic We Can't Be Stopped, which included the smash.
These niggas look loaded.
The John Wick. Like, but man, turn your boy up. We got 19 people up in here. We need 19 likes, man. Even if you're a hater, hit. We appreciate y'all rocking with us, man. Like I said, we got T Will, my boy Go Stupid, Ink Effects up in here, man. Shout out to the gang, man.
The album continued on the direction that had first placed the group under public scrutiny. The album cover including an image of Bushwick Bill getting pushed on a stretcher by Willie D and Scarface, the image being taken shortly after a real incident where Bushwick Bill had gotten shot in the eye. However, while the Ghetto Boys were making a way for Houston and the entire South with their controversial gangster rap sound, there was also another subgenre of rap forming in the city, pioneered by a DJ who enjoyed sipping the infamous purple drank while trying to make the music he was playing match the way that he was feeling under the influence. I'm of course talking about DJ Screw, who'd invented so-called chopped and screwed music by slowing down or screwing songs down on tempo and pitch, and then playing the same song on both turntables with a beat difference, allowing him to create a chopping effect where certain parts of the song were repeated. This combination would create an almost psychedelic feel, while transforming existing songs to the point where they sounded completely new. Screw himself was likely influenced by earlier Houston DJs like Daryl Scott and Michael Price, who both experimented in the 80s with slowing down R&B songs to either create smoother transitions between songs or to achieve a more laid-back and mellow vibe. But Screw's unique approach would become a huge phenomenon in the Houston rap scene during the 90s, to the point where people would line up in their cars for blocks just to get their hands on his latest mixtape that he was selling straight out of his house. Screw and his friends would also have a rap group called the Screwed Up Clique, made up of numerous Houston legends like Fat Pat, Big Hawk, Big Mello, Big Mo, Big Pokey, ESG, Lil Flip, Lil Kiki, Zero, and Lil O, the Botany Boys, and many others. They would often meet at Screw's house where they would all freestyle together while sipping lean and smoking dope.
And haters had no common denominators. It gets greater later. If you're straight for perpetrators, I pull more stunts than Evil Knievel, cause I'm on that chase for the root of all evil, trying to thread the needle, making hits like the Beatles. This is just the first chapter of a legendary sequel. Every day, all day, we parlay and sip pints of lean and 2 liters with a face grip. Too clean on the scene, G'd up and down, riding on boats, pimping in the streets of H-Time. I'm on fire, man. They better leave me alone. He on fire. Going down.
While Screw himself would unfortunately pass away in the year 2000, reportedly due to an accidental overdose caused by his sipping lean, his influence would continue to shape the direction of the Houston rap scene for years to come, from the slow down beats to the codeine-soaked cadences of the rappers, and even the way that the songs would often create impeccably catchy choruses by sampling old Houston classics and pitching the voice down in the chopped and screwed spirit of DJ Screw. This unique style would pay off big time during the mid-2000s, when Houston would lead the southern takeover of the rap game during the heyday of the so-called Dirty South era. Several Houston artists would become mainstream household names during this period, including guys like Mike Jones, Paul Wall, Slim Thug, Chamillionaire, Trey the Truth, and of course the Underground Kings, aka UGK, made up of Bun B and Pimp C, who were originally...
A lot of heat coming out of Texas, bro. That was a lot of heat, bro. Like, a lot of niggas was doing their thing back then. That's crazy, bro. Soon as they got it, bro, they all start beefing. That's wild, man.
From the city of Port Arthur, but would rep Houston heavily during this time. Unfortunately, this golden age of Houston rap would eventually come to an end during the late 2000s and early 2010s, as other sounds and subgenres would take over. However, in recent years, there have been numerous great rappers from the city getting mainstream attention once again, like Megan Thee Stallion, Travis Scott, and Don Toliver, just to name a few. But the noticeable difference is that while these rappers sometimes rep their city in their music, they're all very different stylistically, these styles usually having very little to do with the unique sound that first made Houston popular. However, there are also some artists who merge the old school H-Town flavor with modern energy, most notably Source Walker and his TSF label, who have injected a rawer, more gangster edge into Houston's classic formula, turning the city's slow-rolling tradition into something much more volatile, but more about that later. However, there's one element of the Houston rap scene that seemingly never went out of style, but only continued to spread its influence across the country. And I'm of course talking about the infamous Purple Drank. Because while Houston's unique sound may have faded from the charts, the culture of lean quietly crept into hip-hop's bloodstream, stating a whole generation of rappers, one double cup at a time. Of course, it's nothing new that drugs influence music, but the influence of lean on not just the sound of rap, but the hip-hop culture more broadly has arguably been so expansive for the past 2 decades that it's difficult to quantify. Whether we're talking about the slowdown of tempos and the birth of the so-called mumble rap, or the subsequent SoundCloud era that followed, where the lean's unholy union with another central nervous system depressant, Xanax, allowed the rappers to lose their final brain cells and produce something truly magical, or the birth of the more melancholic trap sound that often focuses focused on pain, numbness, and addiction, where lean was almost like a gateway drug to cheaper and more potent opioids. But unfortunately, lean has also caused untold damage in its wake, with the Houston rap scene alone having seen numerous people lose their lives due to overdoses and other health complications caused by this purple devil, including, of course, as already mentioned, DJ Screw, but also screwed up click artist Big Mo, who died due to a heart attack that was likely caused by the combination of obesity and overindulgence in lean. His nickname, after all, being Bar Baby, Bar being the name of an old pharmaceutical company that used to produce some of the bombest syrup of all time. And then there was, of course, the tragic death of Pimp C, who was found dead inside of a hotel room in LA only a few months after Big Mo's death. His cause of death being ruled a combination of sleep apnea and accidental overdose on lean. In the current era, where rappers are seemingly snorting pills that may or may not be laced with fent right before sliding on their ops, dying off one of the weakest opioids around may seem like an unlikely way to go, but even if you don't end up overdosing on it, you may just end up going bankrupt. Because particularly ever since the authorities started clamping down on prescription codeine cough syrup due to the negative headlines in the mid-2010s, the supply of this purple nectar has become increasingly low, while the prices have become sky high. And while around 2013, a rapper like Chief Keef paid about $600 for a pint of cough syrup, which was already considered to be a very high price, only reserved for one brand, Actavis, the gold standard of lean.
Oh, yeah. Stick, I'm cute.
I remember when that shit was like 300, 200.
Shit, this shit was cheaper than that. It used to be $10 a line.
20 a line, 10 a line. Oh my gosh.
And that was for bar. That was purple bar. That was $10 a line.
No lie, that was that apple. No bullshit.
Yep.
Used to have that bitten apple on that bitch. I remember that shit. They were getting that shit by the cases.
Yep.
On everything, boy. That shit used to be good in the bed. Yeah. They start coming out all that other shit and they took that apple off. Man, nah. Now they, you know what I mean? They just give motherfuckers anything now.
Yeah, they get what now. They gotta get other brands and shit like that.
Yeah, it's a watered down brand.
They messed that up.
Oh, she wanna have.
Nowadays, the Actavis cough syrup has been discontinued due to bad publicity caused by celebrities abusing it, while other brands of cough syrup that the rappers wouldn't even look at before now go for thousands.
Yeah, go for thousands.
That's right. He went straight to it.
Which is why numerous rappers have publicly admitted the ridiculous amounts that they have spent to support this habit, including the Houston rapper Sauce Walker, who actually revealed that he has spent a ridiculous $5 million on lean during his lifetime, starting his decades-long sipathon at just the tender age of 9.
Sip and drink is not like doing no other drug in America. It's the most expensive drug to do as a...
You say you spent $5 million on that shit. That's facts?
Easy.
$5 million on drink?
Easy.
Damn.
Easy. You gotta think I've been sipping drink since I was 9 years old. The codeine drink is the first drug I ever did in my life. It's the first drug I ever consumed.
Right.
However, while the real syrup has dried up and the price of a pint is pushing past a mortgage payment, lean still hasn't disappeared. In fact, the culture around it is bigger than ever, and like most things these days, it has gone digital. Now, if you're a Reddit disciple,
I heard Aiden Ross got a pint for $10,000. Like, that shit crazy, bro.
Right.
Crazy.
It ain't even worth it at this point. It ain't even the same how it used to be, bro.
Nope.
Hell no. Shit crazy. That shit crazy.
like me, you might have heard about a subreddit called r/drank, which is the successor of an earlier subreddit called r/lean. This is a place where the most dedicated sippers share pictures of their recent scores and obsess over syrup and exotic sodas like they're some kind of rare collectible. One of the more interesting phenomena on this subreddit, which perfectly captures the current high status of lean as a rare and luxury item, are posts about so-called dino juice, cough syrup that's so old it's basically prehistoric, with some of the most devoted sipologists collecting these mythical pints like rare antique pieces of art. And if you throw a house party and you're not careful, you might find one of these leanologists in your grandmother's attic, rummaging through the cabinets in the hopes that they might find a 4 of that vintage Ack from 2006.
It's Bear, older than you. Still purple. Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Legendary, bro.
While Lean may have been the biggest force in influencing the sound of Houston and beyond, there was also another major force working from behind the curtain and shaping the infrastructure and movement behind the music. This was, of course, the biggest rap mogul to come out of H-Town, Jay Prince, who during his long reign on top of Houston's hip-hop hierarchy has become both respected and feared, with an influence that allegedly extends far beyond music, from the streets to politics, earning him a reputation as the official godfather of Houston. James Prince, better known simply as Jay Prince, was born on the Halloween night of 1964 in Houston, and he grew up in the city's notorious Fifth Ward, also known as the Bloody Nickel, due to the area's reputation, as covered in National Geographic's Drugs Incorporated series.
This is a bad neighborhood. They don't call it the Bloody Nick for nothing. There's always something going on, you know. I mean, you know, gunshots. You know, majority gunshots. You're a newcomer, you know, it's just like having a pet bull. And he wants to be a territorial. So if a newcomer comes in, you got all the pet bulls. Oh, look.
Prince's mother, Sharon Smith, was just a teenager when giving birth, while Jay Prince would later find out that the man he thought was his father, Adam Hackett, was in fact not his blood father. His real father was a man named Ernest Prince, a natural-born leader and a hustler who loved the streets. The apple didn't fall far from the tree, as Jay Prince would later write in his memoir, hustling and being a leader were qualities that he possessed from a very young age. Partly this was likely also a result of growing up in the Clean Manor apartments located on the infamous Coke Street, where a young Jay Prince learned early that survival meant hustling in whatever way possible. Many of Prince's hustles were legal. He sold eggs, fixed mini bikes, and mowed lawns. But as he disclosed in his memoir, he would also partake in illegal hustles. And many of these seemingly involved him observing the other kids in his school and neighborhood in order to find the weakest links, or followers as he would call them, so he could take advantage of them. This would include hustles like stealing entire cannabis plants from his friend's backyard, where the friend's father grew them, and then selling them to the local dealers, or urging his kleptomaniac friend to give in to his vices and skip school every day so that he could steal.
Now you gotta be stupid as hell if you let somebody else rob your own dad for his weed. we can't, like, nigga, we can't be close. Ain't that like, bro? You want to rob my dad for his weed? Like, hell no, bro.
Shit, maybe he wanted to rob his daddy for the weed and they helped him, huh?
Right.
Yeah. That shit crazy.
Like, bro, that hell no, man. That shit crazy, nigga. We're not doing that, nigga. But when they said weak links, you ain't lying. He's talking about real weak links type niggas.
Steal various items for him. Prince seems to look back at these actions somewhat proudly, because in his mind, this was seemingly him perfecting his leadership skills and taking care of the people around him, particularly his family. This attitude was something he had learned to survive the tough streets of the Fifth Ward, but the obvious downside to everyone except his family was that if Jay Prince wanted something, he didn't care about the people he had to screw over to make it happen. A defining moment in young Prince's life would come when he was only 11 years old, as his sister Xenia was struck and killed by a train while walking home from school. This tragedy shattered his world, but it also crystallized his purpose. During their final conversation the night before her death, James had promised to buy their mother a house, while Xenia had planned to get her a vacuum cleaner. Now he'd realized he would have to fulfill both promises, which meant he had to hustle harder than he ever had. After high school, Prince tried the 9-to-5 life, but quickly realized he was built for bigger things after he would get laid off from his work at a bank. After this incident, Prince realized that working for someone
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Look at that.
in control of his own destiny, and so Prince jumped back into the streets, determined to make it by any means necessary. By the age of 21, he'd already made his first 100,000 in the streets, and the following year he would invest his money also in a legitimate business, buying an abandoned building and transforming it into a car lot. And in order to help his little brother Thelton out, who only had two passions, rap and the streets, he would also build a recording studio in his car lot to try and keep his brother out of trouble. By 23, Prince had already kept his childhood promise of buying his mother that house, while also securing a 30-acre ranch for himself. However, Prince knew that the walls were closing in on him. He had made enemies in the streets and was under a constant fear that the feds would take his street operation down. He knew that if he continued on the path he was on, eventually he would be either dead or in jail. And the last nail in the coffin was Prince finding out that his own mother, the mother that he had done everything for, was stealing from him to support her drug addiction that she had hidden from him for years. After this, Prince dropped his mother's last name Smith and took the name of his biological father, Ernest Prince.
He said, fuck that. I don't even want your last name no more after you just
Look at that.
Word. That's crazy work.
So Jay Prince was born. He would begin to spend a lot of the time at the studio with his brother, finding it the one place where he could actually relax. Prince had been watching New York labels dominate the music industry, monopolizing southern radio stations and clubs, while local talent stayed locked out of their own markets. The hustler in him saw an opportunity that others were missing, a chance to flip the script and build something that could change the entire landscape of southern hip-hop. So Prince decided to make a hard financial decision. He would leave the streets behind him and go fully legal. And in 1987, Prince would found Rap-A-Lot Records, named after his brother Thelton, whose rap name was Sir Rap-A-Lot. To begin the label, he signed his brother and two other artists, Raheem and Sire Jukebox, under the group name Ghetto Boys. As mentioned earlier, the Ghetto Boys lineup would end up going through some major changes during the 80s, which even included Prince kicking his own brother out of the group. But ultimately, the quartet made up of Willie D, Bushwick Bill, DJ Ready Red, and Scarface would make a major breakthrough under the revised name Ghetto Boys, introducing a raw southern sound that would plant seeds for a massive independent movement across the region, while also inspiring other southern moguls like Master P and Birdman to follow Prince's blueprint. But Jay Prince's empire wasn't built on music alone. It was constructed on respect and allegedly fear, a system that would later earn him a reputation that's not that different from the reputation infamous Rollin' 60s Crip Big U had garnered on the West Coast. During the 90s, Prince's power in Houston and beyond grew exponentially, and coming into the 2000s, he was not only invested in the rap industry, but also other avenues like boxing, where he would manage such athletes like Floyd Mayweather and Roy Jones Jr. However, Prince could also be seen with some more questionable company, like the New York Kingpin, Kenneth Supreme McGriff, and the Chicago gang leader Larry Hoover. And soon, one of the first major glimpses into Prince's possible dark side would appear, as national news would report how the DEA had ended an investigation into Prince that had already resulted in 20 convictions of other suspects. After California Congresswoman Maxine Waters had intervened and wrote to the U.S. Attorney General Janet Reno, claiming that federal agents were targeting Prince due to racial prejudice. The DEA would ultimately continue the investigation, but no charges were ever brought against Prince. And to the contrary, the DEA agent in charge of the investigation would years later be convicted on numerous charges, including stealing money from suspects, falsifying government records, and committing perjury, which raised a lot of serious questions about the investigation against Prince and Rap-A-Lot. However, Jay Prince's legal troubles wouldn't end there, and another major incident took place in 2007 when studio owner Ronald Bookman filed a lawsuit against him. Bookman was the owner of Studio 7303, one of Houston's premier recording facilities where A-list artists like 50 Cent, Timbaland, and Missy Elliott laid down tracks. The studio was raking in good cash, which made it prime real estate in Prince's home turf. The trouble began when Bookman struck what seemed to be a straightforward deal with Prince. Bun B, one of Rap-A-Lot's biggest stars, would record a feature called Wrong for Dat for Ronnie's artist JV in exchange for a substantially discounted studio time. It was a win-win for both parties. Ronnie got a valuable feature from an established artist, while Prince got cheap access to a high-end studio for Bun B's 2005 album Trill, which would end up going gold. Everything was moving smoothly until Warner Brothers came knocking.
We've got passion, we've got determination. Like, and if we set our sights on something, you better believe it.
To the money, that's when Young came, yeah, shit gonna get rocky.
Yeah, what this got to do with the gangs in Houston, though?
You know they gotta do the
man. I swear I could say the same shit.
That nigga all over the place.
Seemingly seeing Bookman's plans of starting a competing label in Houston a problem that required dealing with. According to Bookman, Prince managed to derail his deal with Warner, but then in January 2007, Ronnie got word that Prince wanted to meet to make things right. Thinking he was walking into a business negotiation, he rolled up to a gym that was owned by Prince. There, Jay Prince would lead Bookman to a weight room where half a dozen associates were posted.
You know it's fucked up if they tell you to come to a gym. You know, like, no, nigga, I'm not coming to a fucking gym. I know it's a setup.
You got to get active.
Nah, I ain't getting nothing. If you tell me to come to a gym, nigga, to do some business shit, hell no. Nah, that's a no-go.
Posted up waiting. The conversation got heated real quick, and then Prince allegedly gave his boys the signal. What followed was a vicious beatdown that left Bookman with severe injuries, after which Prince would allegedly ask him if he was done going against him or if he wanted to go to war. Instead, Bookman went to law enforcement, and after the investigation, a grand jury upgraded the charges against Prince from misdemeanor assault to felonious aggravated assault, carrying up to 10 years prison time. For a hot minute, it looked like Jay Prince might actually be facing some real consequences for his actions, but Prince's legal team would pull off some magic tricks. And by July 2008, prosecutors dismissed all charges, claiming Ronnie had credibility issues and had allegedly admitted to various financial crimes during his deposition. Ronnie's attorney called it a blatant attempt to eliminate competition in the Houston rap and hip-hop music business through use of threats, intimidation, and violence. But even with that, the case fell apart. Once again, whatever the truth might have been, Jay Prince walked away unscathed. But in Houston's music scene, it would send a clear message: there could only be one king, and testing his authority could carry some serious consequences. Meanwhile, by the late 2000s, Jay Prince had also seemingly perfected the checking in culture in Houston, the same system that Big U used to run LA, where any artist bold or dumb enough to enter Houston without showing proper respect would learn the hard way.
Production in the hood. That's how we do it, you know, man.
Top flight, baby. Security.
GB running this movie set in the hood.
Come on out here.
Coming out here and checking in with GB, getting these movies done. You better know it. Anytime you want to do movies in the hood, just check it in. We can make sure it's done. Movies, videos. But if you don't check it in,
Oh, well. Check your out.
we're going to check you in, all right?
And perhaps no incident better illustrates his reach than his alleged power play with Jay-Z. During a 2020 Drink Champs interview, Prince flexed about how his network would call him the moment Jay-Z's private jet touched down at Houston's airport, claiming he knew exactly when and where the billionaire rapper was moving throughout the city.
They convinced somebody from Priority to go directly to Scarface without communicating with me.
Okay, that doesn't happen.
I mean, that's not the proper way.
Okay, that's not the protocol. Okay.
So the guy, when he got to the airport in Houston, I got calls that he was in the airport, right?
Okay.
I mean,
right.
Imagine this.
I like that.
I would know shit when you land.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's that deep, right?
According to him, Jay-Z checked into a hotel but didn't check in with him, a violation that apparently didn't go unnoticed or unpunished.
A long story short, right? Long story short, he pursued his situation, right? And he was in the Ritz-Carlton, from what I hear. And it didn't go well for him because he didn't do protocol-wise.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all I want to say about this shit.
Jay-Z would never respond to these claims publicly, which only validated Prince's version of events in the
Down,
streets. If the
Jay-Z.
man who went from crack dealer to billionaire had to deal with Prince's system, then nobody was truly untouchable in H-Town. But by February 2023, Prince's tune had suddenly flipped, and during an episode of $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, he now completely denied the very idea, insisting there was no money in extorting people to check in. On the surface, it looked like Jay Prince was making an innocent pivot, but the timing might be telling a different story, as this interview came just 3 months after Takeoff's tragic death in Houston in November 2022. Just when people were pointing fingers directly at Jay Prince and his family for what happened to the Migo rapper on his home turf.
Yeah, Trap Lord Ross trash, bro. This shit trash.
Yeah, everywhere. Look, it's look
Bro.
everywhere, bro.
He got I don't know, he all over the place.
It's look everywhere. It's from a nigga from around the world. I'm gonna definitely do a part 2 tomorrow, man. We're gonna do a part 2 tomorrow. That's how I'm gonna get. I'm gonna try to stream every day for an hour. So we're gonna try to run this back up. We're gonna try to run it back up. I appreciate everybody riding with us though.
Trey 6 came with his hoe looking like Bobby Valentino or something.
I'm having boy, that nigga, I seen that nigga on that camera. I said, boy, this nigga too cool.
When I get the bottom of my hand, nigga, no, I ain't playing. I'ma show you that I've been the man. Just look at his stance. He clutching that switch in his pants. We bump down on niggas, they ran. They know I ain't playing. It's Michael Draco in my hand. This chopper fully. I make a bitch out of bullet when I'm bouncing out of sedan. I stick in the hoodie. The first nigga play, I'ma pull it. I bet you I'll touch me some skin. These big nigga pussy, they really some rookies. And they ain't gon' never do shit that they saying. Put a op in the blunt. That nigga smell like a skunk. We turned your little bro to a string. Still got on our punt. These niggas know I'm the run. Turned up and now I'm the man. Hey, they know I'm dead nigga rolling. Nigga kept dissing and I ain't getting rolled on. Yo, bro on the end, he smoking. She got me choking. Told him to go long. With bro, he wrong and he right. We put up a fight. No way he could go wrong. Yo, on dick like a bike. She ain't it on sight. She not trying to pull on. I just put a deuce in the fan. Now I feel like an animal. Bitch, let me fuck on camera. I took a trip out to Canada. Fresh like a janitor. I put her op in a canister. You better go get your manager. Nah, I ain't playing with your 762 with a damager. I put a switch on. If you looking for me, I'm probably somewhere up in when I get the ball in my hand, nigga, no, I ain't playing. I'ma show you that I've been the man. Lil' brother just popped him a Zans, just look at his stance. He clutching that switch in his pants. We bumped down on niggas, they ran. They know I ain't playing. This Michael Draco in my hand. This chopper fully. I make a bitch out of bullet when I'm bouncing out of sedan. Hey, they know I'm dead, nigga rolling. Nigga kept dissing and I ain't getting rolled on. Yo, bro in the end, he smoking. She got me choking. Told him to go long. With bro, he wrong and he right. We put up a fight, no way he could go wrong. Yo, on dick like a bike, she ate it on sight. She not tryna pro. When I get the ball in my hand, nigga, no, I ain't playing. I'ma show you that I've been the man. Lil' brother just popped him a Zans, just look at his stance. He clutching that switch in his pants. We bumped down on niggas, they ran. They know I ain't playing. This Michael Draco in my hand. This chopper fully. I make a bitch out of bullet when I'm bouncing out of sedan. Come on. Bitch out of bouncing. Hey, I make a bitch out of bullet when I'm bouncing out of sedan, nigga. Niggas know I'm the man. No, I ain't playing, bitch.
The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by this podcast, as well as its hosts, are for entertainment purposes only. I repeat, it is not serious.
We ended.
Pat, Corey say hurry up. He just called his second time calling. He say he gonna be here in 10 minutes. And so he say be ready. He gonna be out there in 10 minutes. So hurry up.
The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by this podcast.
Ghetto dream.